Hey there, my name's Josh and I take photos, and today we're just going to be going through some of my photos that I took while I was down in Dunsborough. So let's go. So over here we have a lovely little wattle bird. Now this is actually the original version of the photo. The edited version looks like this. So I obviously cropped in quite a bit here, and we have the wattle bird central, and then we have this stick that it's sitting on. All of that is in focus, and that just runs down the image. And then we have this telephone pole in the background, which I took two versions of the photo, one with the pole in focus and one with it out of focus. And I think this one just looked a lot nicer. It's a lot more creamy in the background, a lot smoother. It certainly makes the bird pop out of the image a bit more. So I've went with this one. And as far as edits go, I brightened it a little bit. As you can see, the original a bit dark and a bit low contrasty. So I did turn up the brightness, and then I also turned the background a little bit more blue using the color mixer. So as you can see, it used to look like that, and then I just added a little bit of green, just to make it a little bit more blue in the background, because it was a very gloomy day and I just wanted to add a little bit of light. So I added a bit of blue, which contrasts nice with the red of the wattle bird. All right, next up we have this photo here, which I'm actually very happy with. It's a bit simple, but I just saw these kayaks lying on the beach and I thought they look pretty cool or colorful. So I took a picture of them. But then these two people here, who looks like one of them is looking directly at me, they walked onto the beach and they looked a little bit confused. So I just thought, well, that could be an interesting shot. So I lined it up so the kayaks are kind of pointing towards the two people there. And then I've obviously put them central in the image. And you've ended up with something like this, which is pretty cool. I haven't done too much to this image. I just moved the curve a little bit to make the eye more drawn to the subject, but it's not really changed. Yeah, it's barely any different. I've basically just made it a little bit more hazy to add to the atmosphere. So I've actually pretty much just kept the image as is, straight out of camera, which is pretty cool. It's nice when that happens. You kind of get a nice... What am I saying? Anyway, yeah, it just feels great when you get an image straight out of camera and you're just happy with it. Next up, we have this no dogs allowed sign, which is a bit mean to the dogs, but I thought it looked pretty cool with these purple flowers surrounding it. And we actually got a bit of sun that day for once, even though it was completely cloudy the whole day. So I thought I might as well take the opportunity to get some photos with the sun out. So as it looked originally, again, very dark. I'm kind of exposing for the sky because I know I can kind of pull out some detail from the shadows afterward. So I really brought up those shadows, as you can see. Without that, it's just, you have to get the color back out of the shadows. So for this style, I did get the color back. And as you can see, you've got this purple and this green that you just could not see before. And I think that adds to the image. Cropping wise, I just straightened it up to make sure that pole in the middle was nice and straight up, because when you get a picture with a pole and the pole isn't straight, just, it messes with you. It takes away from the image. So I've straightened that up and I think it looks fine. I'm quite happy with that one. Okay, next up we have this photo, which, you believe it or not, is actually entirely in camera. So I have a Canon R6 Mark II, which is a full frame camera. And I used to have a Canon EOS 1500D, which is a crop sensor DSLR. So basically, I still use the lenses I used to have for that crop sensor. I just have an adapter for my new camera, the R6, because I cannot afford the R6 lenses that are so expensive. So I'll get one eventually. But for now, I'm just using my old ones. And they're not as sharp as new lenses are, but they get the job done, I think, especially when you have access to Lightroom. But as you can see in this one, I used my 35mm lens, and I noticed that when I put it on, we had this vignetting, which it's just the inside of the lens, which is awesome. And you're also seeing what the lens sees. So if you were sitting in that lens, this is what you'd be seeing. You'd have that whole circular image rather than a rectangular image, which is what you get from a usual camera. So I just thought that was insane. And I didn't know if it was going to happen again, because I'm not sure what I'd done to the camera to make it do that. I think I switched from crop to full frame in my settings a few minutes before, which made this happen, because it never happened before. So I think that's probably what I did. But basically, I saw this one blue flower in the middle of a field of yellow ones, and I just thought, well, I've got a lens that highlights a specific part of an image, and you just got to use what you have. So I just thought, you know what, perfect. That flower is going to be the center of this photo. So I saw all these leaves and they look awesome, and I saw this flower and it's very sharp and the background's all blurry. I just thought this one turned out great, and I even made it its own post, just because I just think it deserves to be standalone. Like, it's such an interesting image, and I still think about how interesting it is to see what the camera sees. And if I wanted to avoid the effect, I could have just cropped in like my camera automatically does usually. But like, this isn't as interesting of an image as this. So I have a little motto that I've stolen from someone, and I cannot read their name, but it's over there. And it says, the photograph should be more interesting or more beautiful than what was photographed. And when I see this image, I see a photo of something, just something you saw. And when I look at this image, I see a story. I see something that has intrigue. And I think as photographers, we need to be telling stories, or to make intriguing photographs. I think telling stories is very important. And I think if I had have just cropped that out, that mistake, it wouldn't have made for such a good story. Or maybe I'm just overthinking it and it's an odd little photo of mine. I don't really mind, but that's just one that I really like. Next, okay, here we go. So I have 3 photos of this one phone booth, and I just could not tell which one I liked best. So we have this one, and this one. They're all very similar. I took them from the same place. And what I like doing is taking photos of people, but I like to incorporate the surroundings into that photo to kind of give them context. So this guy, he's on the phone and he's next to a phone booth. You can't write this. Cut that out. Yeah, so we have the phone booth, obviously, which is I'd like to say the phone booth is the main character of this series of photos. As you can see, we had this beautiful, the sun actually came out again. We had this beautiful streak of light coming right down the middle of the frame. And then also, see this ridge here? Look at those shadows. Isn't that insane? So I just thought, this is such a beautiful, beautiful setup. And then I kind of crossed the road and I found this footpath and this lovely little garden bed. And I just thought, this is a great composition. I cannot waste this. So I sat there for about 10 minutes waiting for people to walk past. So first up, we got this guy he's an interesting character. He's got a little moustache. He's got his phone out. He's got his hand in his pocket. He's got Crocs on. What a legend. And he's just walking down the path next to this phone booth. And I thought that told an interesting story. And then we had this other guy, and I don't know what he's doing. He's kind of got one arm out with his newspaper, and I don't know what he's walking like that for. I think he was talking to someone behind him. But I thought, I couldn't miss that one either. So we've got this guy, he's got his coffee, he's got his newspaper, and again, we have the phone booth in the background. And I thought, that's another story that we can tell. There's stories everywhere you look, and if you can capture that in an image, then you've done your job as a photographer, in my opinion. And then finally, this is probably my least favorite of the bunch. We have this guy here. He's got his newspaper, like the other guy did. And in this photo, rather than the person being the subject, it really emphasizes the phone booth and the beautiful light we're getting. So I'm not quite sure which one is the best out of these three. If you want to leave a comment and let me know which one you like the best, let me know. But I think at the moment, I'm going to say the first one. But, you know, you never know which one's better. So I just posted all of them and called it a collection called The Phone Booth. Yeah, very creative. Anyway, next up, here we have a bird. I don't think I posted this one. Maybe I did. But we had this little bird scratching itself, so kind of funny. Just sort of take a picture of it. Don't think I posted it, but there you go. This one is a magpie, and it is looking at me real funny. Kind of like a portrait of a magpie. Didn't really change much, just turned up the contrast a bit. And I didn't even crop out or anything. It's just the raw image. It's pretty much straight out of camera, this one as well. Always a good feeling. But yeah, this guy was just looking at me real funny. I was like, you know what? You look at me funny, you're getting a portrait taken. So I hope this bird is out there somewhere and is enjoying life, and I hope that it sees my portrait someday. All right, next up we have a whale. I didn't post this, it was really bad. I went whale watching while I was down there, and I just did not get any great photos. The weather was atrocious. This is probably the best one I got, and it just looks kind of meh, so didn't post it. Okay, here we go. This photo I'm actually really happy with. It's the pelican. Look at this guy. So we have this beauty of a creature. Pelicans are massive. In fact, here's me with that pelican. Like, they're huge. That's almost as big as me. Like, pelicans are massive. As you can see, I saw this beautiful detail. Like, just look at the feathers on this thing. It's just an incredible, incredible creature. And I just thought, you know what? Portrait of a pelican, why not? So it was very cloudy in the background, and I think that kind of fits the mood, because this pelican looks very old, very wise, and very, you know, preened up, very clean. So I thought, you know what, that'll actually look kind of cool in the background, a bit of stormy weather. So I took the picture of it. It looks awesome. I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. And then I actually took another picture of it with this tree in the background. So it kind of creates a bit of a circle like that. I wouldn't call it the golden ratio, but can I show the golden ratio? This is the golden ratio, apparently. As you can see, it kind of follows the pattern, not really, but like, you know, it's the golden ratio. No one really follows the golden ratio. So yeah, it's just a cool looking image. That's all I have to say, really. Got some feathers, pretty sharp. Got the beak, got the eyes. The eyes are huge. The eyes are massive. And I just thought, you know, I'll get another angle. The sun kind of shone down a bit for this one, so we got some sharper shadows. You know, just interesting image. And then we also have this helicopter, which was flying up and down Dunsborough. I'm not sure why. Not many people were swimming, but it is the Westpac Surf Lifesaving helicopter. And it looked pretty cool. I turned up the shutter speed all the way pretty much to get these blades almost completely still. Maybe not that one, and kind of the edges, but I think it's kind of cool how it just hovers in midair and doesn't really show any signs of movement other than a little bit of a blurred, what do you call that? Rotor? Yeah, blurred rotor. Yeah, so it's just a cool looking one, I think. And for all these images, I've changed the background from a blue to a kind of teal, just because it kind of suits the mood a bit better. And then finally, I didn't post this one until a few days ago. It is a couple of deck chairs hanging up on some towel racks, and I saw all this white, and I just thought, the white contrasts pretty good with these three deck chairs. So I just thought I'd take a picture of that one. And what I've done is basically just brighten it up, not much, just to kind of bring out the white, which creates an interesting kind of look. There's one of some waves. I almost posted this one. It was interesting to look at, but, you know, hang it up in a bathroom. Here's another one, a bit more dramatic. We've got these massive, massive waves going over this rock. It was huge, huge, huge rock. Have I cropped in? Not really. Yeah. So didn't really do any edits to it too much, just turned up the contrast. And you're actually getting a bit of a 2-in-1 video now, because we are actually doing the Halloween photo walk as well. So I went on a walk with my friend through Janebrook, and it was Halloween, so you get this interesting kind of a bit of a vibe. Don't know how much of that is in my head and how much is from the trick-or-treaters, but it was an interesting kind of look. First up, I got this photo of this road, very deserted, very empty. No one's really out on Halloween except for kids who are all on the paths. And I just turned it black and white, and it kind of makes this... It's got a mood. I think I like taking photos of a mood, or finding something that gives off a certain mood. And I think this street does exactly that, and it gives off this lonely, isolated, kind of dramatic look, which reminds me of the front cover of Sweater Weather, which is the song I posted this with, which is pretty cool. Then we have a panorama, which is not really a panorama, it's fake. It's a fake panorama. As you can see, it actually has a whole bunch of other stuff going on underneath it, but I just cropped it in to turn it into a panorama. Don't try and zoom in, it gets all murky and grainy, but if you look at it like this, it's okay. I just saw all these clouds in Perth, and I just thought that looked kind of cool, almost like teeth. Perth is a very green city. We've got all this greenery all the way up until the CBD, so I just took a picture of that. I wonder if you can see Optus Stadium from here. And then one of my favorites from the evening is this one here. I've blurred out the license plate, which I will blur out again now, there's not much reason to do it, but I just do it just to clean up the image and avoid anyone getting upset with me. Not that I really mind. I do take pictures of random people on the street all the time. We've got the lamp pole up here, which is a cool kind of, it grabs your attention, as well as the footpath that leads your eye straight to the car, which is why I kind of went down and saw that footpath, which was kind of leading line straight to the car. And I just thought, it's kind of cool that there's a car just sitting up here with the sky directly behind it. So I took that picture. Again, it's pretty dramatic. It was a pretty dramatic night. And all I've done is add a bit of contrast and brighten it up a little. Finally, for the last image of the video, we have this house. I went and got a whole bunch of different angles of this one, but I just thought how cool it was to see this light, this empty room and this light in this house, and then this roundabout. So I just stood there with my camera, aperture of f4 to keep it sharp, but not too dark. Okay, there we go. What is that? ISO 20,000. Jeez. Yeah, so that's why it's a bit grainy. I bet if we turn up the... Yeah, there we go. ISO 20,000 for you. How does that look? Yeah, it looks okay when it's turned down, but as you can see, ISO 20,000 is a bit much. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed looking at my photos or looking at my insights into those photos. Go out, take some photos. Don't worry about posting them. I worry about posting them. It doesn't matter. Just take photos that you enjoy. If you like it, then you like it. And do what you want. You're creating art. Art doesn't have to conform to other people. Art is about you. So go out there, make some art. Love you guys. Thanks. I'll see you later.